approve.
Okay, I started the recording now.
All right. Well, hello guys. We are group number two, and this week for our discussion question, we were asked, how does the privacy accorded to public figures differ from that offered to regular individuals? And so I guess to start it off, the way I see it is, and the way it's described in the book is private individuals have a little more privacy, or not a little more, but a lot more privacy than public figures do because of the nature of not only their job, but just of their benefits that they would receive for their jobs. So I think a public figure really needs to be in the limelight and they really need to be seen out there. And because of that, they don't have necessarily the same I guess, privacy, uh, awarded to them as a private individual would have. And, to speak on that note, that's one of the reasons why I would never want to be a public figure myself, why I don't think fame sounds all that appealing because I do value my privacy very much. And I think I would be very upset if people were always in my business and trying to figure out or speculate on what I was doing at all times in all parts of my life. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When
and I think it's interesting that the trade-off with that, with being a public figure and like getting all of the attention. Um, I do think it's interesting how in the book there's like specific definitions for what's considered a public figure, and the main one being they overall benefit from being um, like having so much of their life be public information.
Yeah, I guess I'd say it's like kind of a sacrifice that they have to put. Being able to, I guess, make profit from media, you have to sacrifice that secrecy of yourself. So,
when I was
I do
younger and they
wonder.
started making movies here in New Mexico, I was thinking about trying to be an extra or something like that. And my husband and I talked, and we did the same as Lewis. We valued our privacy more because people have to understand when they go into that kind of a business, you give up a lot of your privacy. And I remember, does anybody here know about the Inquirer? It's a little tabloid magazine that you used to buy at the grocery store when I was younger, and they told nothing but lies about celebrities and stuff like that. And most of them wouldn't sue them, but there was a point when people started suing them, and then they stopped telling the lies and started going more truthful because they lost a lot of libel lawsuits. Caeden, I think that you're muted. You have to, there you go.
Oh yeah, so one of the uh one of the things that I I was thinking about when it comes to the privacy of public figures is a lot of the time it feels like it's like a trade for money and fame, but some of the time that's not even the trade, like with like local or lower paid politicians that put themselves on on some sort of board or something and then still kind of have the same invasion of their privacy. And it makes me wonder at what point, like, is it worth it? Is it a money thing? Is it a being able to hold its office? Or it makes me wonder at what point does somebody decide they want to be a public figure? Is it even something they decide? Like, do you just get a job and then one day you realize that a magazine's making statements about you that you can't sue about?
Right. And I think with, the sort of digital landscape that we live in today, anyone can become a public figure overnight. We've seen that with people blowing up on social media, like TikTok, for example. Like someone could be relevant one day and then the next day, they're known worldwide. And I think that's kind of terrifying sometimes because again, like I said, I value my privacy and Sometimes I do wonder like if I'm ever going to make some sort of move, whether it be controversial or positive, that will put me in the limelight in that way. And then with that, I also my mind goes to the sort of legality behind all that, like the legal situations that you could be put into, such as like defamation cases and stuff like that, because public figures, you see them get put in these sort of defamation cases more often, because they are defending their IP and their own brand and other things as well. But also on the other hand, I also think that it's good that these cases get brought up so often with these people because they have so much influence and power. There's got to be a way to hold people like that accountable and not just kind of let them get away with whatever or make it seem like they can get away with whatever, which, even though a lot of the times it sort of comes off that way, at least in my point of view from, seeing things in the media, it's still, nice to know that they are not above the law and that they can still be held accountable regardless of how much influence or power they have.
See, that's what I was thinking. It's the power that they want to do the trade-off for because they want the power over other people and stuff. But something that I wonder if they ever think about their children. Did their children ask to have their lives be made public and be in the public spotlight? And I don't think it's fair to the children.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen so many cases of like family YouTube channels and the children either being like their faces blurred or not, and the children coming out being like, I didn't choose to be like, I guess a child star, even like in Hollywood with that too. Like like you said, is power and stuff like that.
Well, I noticed like Charlie Kirk and his wife, they never showed their children's faces. They would always show their backs when they had them in public and stuff. And I never even realized that until a little while ago. And I thought, oh, they're doing that on purpose because they don't want people to see their children's faces.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like that idea of like because in the book like a quote from it, it says, "Simply put, a public figure is an individual who has chosen to place him or herself." And I'm just looking at that part there where what about like the children? Like, are they public figures? Like, is it a voluntary thing every time? Like Will Smith's kids? Well, at a certain point, I'm sure it became voluntary. There's one interview where I think it's Willow, like Will Smith is talking. It's something where it's like she does her first concert and is like, "Okay, Dad, I want to go home." And he's like, "No, you signed on to do a bunch more tours." And she's like, "No, Dad, you signed me on to do a bunch more tours." And it's like, at what point like at what point is a public figure just somebody who's been thrown into it and somebody who's chosen it for power or somebody who just happened to get really famous because like Charlie Kirk, like did he always intend to be a public figure or did he just intend to change minds? Like probably in public figure being a precedent, a turning point and everything, right? But at what point is talking to people on a college campus elevate you to that status?
And not only that, but what about the rest of the family members? What about your parents? What about your brothers and sisters? Did they ask for the invasion of their privacy? And a lot of people, I don't think they take a lot of that into consideration when they decide to go into some of these professions. I know, like President Trump says, politics is a really dirty business, and he really didn't want to get into politics, but he ended up doing it. But look at how his whole family has been dragged through the mud.
Yeah, like kids our age having like national fame, national hatred, national love, but regardless, like kids our age dealing with that, like maybe
Yeah,
not
like,
knowing the ramifications 2 or 3 years down the
uh,
line.
and like you see, Kim Kardashian's 12-year-old daughter. And she didn't ask. I don't know if she asked for that or not because she is with her mom a lot. But she can't go anywhere without there being cameras and people commenting on what she's dressed like and everything like that. How hard is that for a kid to take?
And I think looking at like just the question itself, like putting it versus the privacy afforded regular individuals, I think it's kind of a complicated topic with social media. Like Luis had brought up, like anybody can become that public figure through one Hawk Tuah post or something.
Uh,
But yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Anything else to add? Anybody?
Um,
I
Are
think
we done?
one other thing that was mentioned briefly about like the privacy of people who aren't public figures is how that how certain laws can be like I don't know what the word is like almost like it can be circumstantial the privacy of a person depending on whether or not they pose some kind of a threat to like other people or like the government. They can almost like change certain laws where they don't have the same privacy if there is like a certain problem surrounding that person. I think I saw that mentioned briefly in the text too.
yeah, I guess we can all agree that for as public figures, it's way harder to have privacy compared to I guess regular individuals.
And with social media and the media and everything, what about the people who have committed crimes and then their parents and their brothers and sisters, their whole family gets dragged through the mud with them? I don't think that's fair because the parents didn't do anything but have the kid.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was thinking of like the case of like Charles Manson who like did his crime and because of it became almost a public figure, even in prison, which is just an interesting thought. Like the way to get to that notoriety is there's a lot of paths.
A lot of people do that. They commit these crimes because they want their 5 minutes of fame and they don't think about the rest of their family, what happens to them.
Yeah. Well,
I
pretty good discussion. Probably don't want to go on too long, make it too hard for the teacher.
Okay, so we're done. I'm
I
gonna
think
turn
so.
off the recording.